Alright folks, this time I'd like to talk about something that experienced handgun shooters already know, but that I still see quite often in video games. One recent example would be Nether, where I saw that. And so this is kind of a video for video game designers and for those who are new to handguns. Right now I don't own any, I only have rifles and shotguns, but this air pistol will do. Same fundamentals, it's really just about the grip. What I quite often see in movies and video games is that they hold it pretty far down. And of course, another thing that really is a pet peeve of mine is when they always show the finger on the trigger. You're not supposed to do this. I only do that for demonstration. You are supposed to always keep your finger out of the trigger guard until you're ready to shoot. It's basic firearm safety. You're not supposed to do this. Again, do not do this. It's just for demonstration. So, this is what you very often see. They are very low. The problem with that is, the higher the bore axis, the more you have to deal with muzzle flip. And the reason for that is, as the recoil kicks in, so as the bullet is leaving the barrel, you have equal force pushing back. So if you hold it very low and the force of the recoil pushes along this line, it has to pivot there, of course. And it pivots more if you're holding it further down. If you're holding it as high as you can, the ideal would be if the barrel was directly in line with your forearm, because then it would go straight back and then you would have no muzzle flip whatsoever. And why is that relevant, you may ask? Well, if the muzzle flips up, you have to readjust to get the sight picture back. You always want the front sight to be centered in the rear sight, so you can imagine if the recoil goes up, your sight picture is destroyed and you have to move it back down. If it were to recoil straight back, you could actually maintain the sight picture and be quicker with follow-up shots. So yeah, that would be ideal, but in most cases it's not possible, especially with a semi-automatic handgun where you have the slide that actually moves back. So obviously you can't do that, but you want to be as high as possible. And a grip like this, which is not unlike a 1911 grip, by the way, in terms of the angle, the shape here, this actually facilitates a high grip. It's the most comfortable when you're all the way up here. That's how you want it to be. So, especially when I see something like, as I mentioned, Nether, where I see the guy holding a Desert Eagle, so in other words, at least 357 Magnum, if not 50, which is a very powerful caliber that kicks like a mule. If I see him hold it like that, yeah, I don't like that. That's just kind of ridiculous. That would just, you would just have to fight the recoil like crazy. So, as high up as possible, folks. This is how it's supposed to look. Like this. Not here, not here, right up there, as high as it goes. And another thing while talking about the grip, this here does very little to help you. It does stabilize a little bit, but it's not the right way to hold it. It's back in the 70s, you still saw even policemen doing this weird kind of thing, but it's pretty much pointless. It doesn't do that much to stabilize your arm. It does nothing to help manage the recoil, and you still see that very often in games. When I do see that, it just tells me that the developers didn't bother actually researching into shooting techniques and firearms in general. So you actually want to hold it like that, because that way you can actually push here. You can, or I should say pull. You actually pull with this hand, you push with the other, and that allows you a very firm grip, and that also allows you to manage the recoil and bring it back on target quicker. So this is how it's supposed to look, not like that. That doesn't really do much.